here at the fitness center, just doing a quick overview on how everything works and how to safely use everything. We'll start, there's not too much on the bikes, but obviously there's not too many adjustments. The one key adjustment, there's a bit of preference in terms of seat front to back, but seat height is always the thing you want to get right. So the easy way to do it, you're going to loosen the knob and then pull it out, is you want to set the seat where your heel on the rotation is going to lock your knee out. That way when you put your foot in to actually pedal, you'll have a slight bend at your knee at the bottom. But a slight bend at the knee at the bottom, too high and your hips are going to be shaking, too low and your knees are going to be coming up. So that's just an easy rule of thumb. Get to know the programs as well, because there's a lot of things on here that people don't use. I would say in general, most people just hit quick start and that's fine. But going through and entering your metrics give you a much better calorie readout and just a better workout if you're looking to burn fat or gain strength. A lot of science behind these programs. Spacing, it's a little bit easier to space this because I'm not, constantly getting off, but same thing, put your heel on, lock the seat out, and now when I go to actually ride, my legs just come to almost a straighten, but still have a slight bend right at the end. And again, the nice thing about this is all these consoles are the same. So it's actually, if you be on one, all of them. And moving over to the elliptical, there's really no adjustments on this. That's the nice part. You can just get on it and go. Aside from keeping it clean, there's not even really any maintenance you need to do. It's just a matter of getting on, starting your workout, being comfortable. I would say try on any of the cardio pieces to prevent spin out, which on a bike it's a term when you're in too low of a gear and you're out of the saddle. But we see it quite a bit where someone's just trying to do this and go as quick as they can. With no resistance, you're really not doing yourself any favors. You always want to break through, like with lifting, for example, you want to break through the pain barrier to get stronger. So keep that in mind when doing cardio. You're not just sort of cycling out and spinning. If you are cooling down, that's one thing, or if you're get your sweat going and you want to keep going, that's great. But just keep in mind you want to actually have resistance, and that's what helps you grow. So. Circuit pieces, these are all, take a look, your first time in the room, always take a look at the placard because it does help and it does give you manufacturer's recommendation. For me, what I like to do is actually each of these has more than one function. So what I like to do, the cool thing is, my saying, if it's not yellow, don't touch it. All the adjustments are yellow on it, whether it's seat back. But the key thing on these is just really following, it's crystal clear to see, hey, this yellow point is my pivot point. So in either exercise, the leg extension or leg curl, I want to be lined up with that. So I get in, I have some space in my back, I can just pull that right up to my back, and now I'm set in terms of the exercise. Just for the sake of today. So now I can start my workout. Knees on alignment, same way you can see right on here, it says to the leg curl. When I go there, knees are in the same place, they're not coming off. The thing is, if I'm too far forward or back, I'll actually get a pretty big gap in between. So yeah, just following the instructions as they are, but these things are very easy to use, and the weight stacks go pretty heavy too. So even though I'm on light resistance today, for the sake of filming, should be able to get a great workout. And I will demonstrate this more on the multi-press. This one is actually, if you want to come over here, this shows you the exact way down here if you're going to do, because it's a four-way bench. It's flat, incline, decline, and overhead. So if I'm going to do bench, I really want to align the numbers where it's going up. Number four. So now I'm doing my shoulder press. If I'm doing bench press, which is number 2, coming back to number 2. And the great thing on this, I think everyone says, what am I doing with like 3 sets of 10, or am I doing 2 sets of 4. 3 sets of 10 is a great sort of overall for what you're doing. Now, you get into more specialized, you can do less reps, higher weight. Some of that stuff is important. Some of it, you get a little specialized. So the one thing that does hold really good too is in terms of speed of exercise. If I'm doing chest press and I go out 1 second, try and come back 2 seconds. Again, everyone's different, but that's a way that really is sort of held the test of time. In terms of like if I go out a 2 count, try and come back 4 count. You don't want, and you see this a lot in the next piece, you see it a little bit here, leg extension. Quicker is not always necessarily better, because when I jump, you see there's that little jump of the weight stack. So I do want slow, controlled movements. I don't want to put myself in a position where a lot of weight's coming down on me. And then in terms of height, really height and depth is more of just, it's a bit of, you want to be right in alignment, your arm to your chest. But again, it's something where like I like to get really deep back. I have a little bit more flexibility. Your first time up, you may be right here, so you have to adjust this forward. But that comes with time. And then this is actually a 3 exercise piece. So I've got my lat pull down. Not because I'm weak, I'm just lighting it up. But lat pull down, your knees are planted under the pad and coming down to your chest. And then nothing too crazy because you can see that cable jump when you go really quick. That's why you want to do a slow, controlled 1 down, 2 second up. You also, on this, you can raise this up or not, but keep your feet there. And now I've got my row exercise. And then you'll notice this pad is angled. It's actually to do a bicep curl on it. So, there's a couple other things if you get creative. I mean, I've seen people stand in and do high rows with it. It's not exactly made for that, but it is an option on there. I would prefer if you're doing something like that to do it on the functional trainer. The easiest exercise to show on this is you can basically do, and the placards on here give you a nice range of, I mean, we've got 18 different workouts, whether it's the bar, military press. The easy thing when someone says, hey, can you explain this piece? I like to show tricep extension because basically when my arm is parallel with my body, resting position, there's the least amount of stress on my shoulder. When I bring my arm out 90 degrees, I've got the most torque on my shoulder that I can. So this is actually a really uncomfortable, if I have a bad shoulder, it's an uncomfortable exercise. But I can lower this down just a bit and bend over, and now my arm is still straight with my body and I'm doing that same exercise. So I can take something that normally would be very painful, bring it down here, and it's very easy. And this isn't just limited by the grips. There's the weight belt. There's actually an aluminum chop bar, so I can do an ab twisting type motions. Tricep rope. The ankle cuff is the big one. I'm going to leave this in, but you normally would switch to the ankle cuff just to show, you know, the weight machines are your core lifts. You know, you think about your back, your chest, your legs. But there's some other things that people like to do. Pec fly is one. Adductor is one that everyone says, why don't we have that machine? Good reason for that is because you can do all that right here. So you think about the machine abductor, I can do that motion right on here with the ankle cuff. Or if I want, I can do that same motion and do a glute kick. And the nice thing about this machine is that when you look at these cables, they are geared on a 1-to-1. So if I have 50 pounds here and I lift it up, it's 50 pounds coming down. This is actually a 2-to-1. So when you look at the weight stack, when I pull the cable up 2 feet or 4 feet, the stack only travels 2, cuts the weight in half. What that enables me to do is some quicker motions that you can't do on those pieces. So if I'm doing a quick pull, I can do that on this machine. That's why the glute kicks is a great exercise for it. But yeah, use the placards. Pretty much nothing you can't do. All right. Yeah, so quite a bit that you can do on the rack setup. I think the safety things, because going over bench technique or squat technique, I could talk forever on it. But I think from a safety standpoint, the two keys here, if you're lifting with a partner, make sure you're using clamps. Because in the event that you're failing, person, you may have one arm that comes up quicker than the other, and the person that's behind you spotting you is you don't want weight falling off. If you are by chance and you're alone lifting, you do not want to use clamps lifting alone. The reason being, I'll pull the bench down, but if I'm benching and let's say I'm not using the spot arms, which you should always use the spot arms, but if I'm not, and I have clamps on here and this traps me, I have no way out. Whereas if I am not using clamps, I can basically let go with one arm, let the plate slide off, and it's going to be loud, but and the bar will whip around, but it is the safe way if some freak thing you're doing a weight that you can't handle alone. Again, that should never happen because you should always be using the spotter arms, but just a safety thing on that front. The benches, they do go up just sort of like the flat incline, decline. They come up and they actually go all the way down to a decline. Generally, most people will be using them flat. And then some other just cool things about it. It is a double pin, so you're not going to see these things roll. So when weight's on them, they're going to be staying put. And if you're doing a deadlift type motion, the bar is actually, you don't need to adjust these down. This step is high enough that you can actually rack the bar right on there, the bumper's right on there. So you can use the step as the step, pull-up bar, TRX, but it is made to carry weight, and it's made to carry a substantial amount of weight. And then it's a bit of a rule and somewhat of housekeeping, make sure you're always racking the weights. You never know who's going to be in here after you or before you. You may be the strongest person in town and you're lifting 300 some pounds over your head and walk away and you're leaving all the weight on it. Well, the next person may not be able to pick up a 45-pound plate and take it off. So how the room looks now is how it should always look. Nice and clean, benches are in, when just basically keep things back the way you found them. It's just a great rule. And the other thing too is when you come in, it's like coming into a house without a made bed. It's a lot nicer to come in to a made bed when you get home. Just the same as it is, it's nice to walk into a room that's nice and clean. Everything is laid out. You know that you're getting consistent workout every time. And probably should cover some of the functional stuff too. So just reviewing a few of the functional tools. The first one's the TRX. My recommendation on this is it's a great tool for beginner all the way through advanced. When I'm looking at beginner, a lot of people don't have great squat technique. For whatever reason, they may have learned wrong, and they just may have not have done it. So if I'm doing a squat technique, I'm not yet ready to jump under a bar, could use the functional trainer. Or I could just do body weight squats and see I'm kicking my knees out. All right, shouldn't be doing that. So what I'm going to do is face this, hold this as a guide, and actually just practice my technique just like that. Now, without weight on your back, you may fall back a little bit. That's all right because you're holding on to this. Get into some of the more, if I'm doing rows, same tricep extension, body weight type of stuff. There's a lot you can do on this, but it's like everyday lifting. You look at a bench press, very seldom are you actually doing this, but quite a bit. I'm doing things with my kids where I'm in a weird position and I want to practice. This is a great tool for sort of everyday strength. On that same note with the functional tools, so I've got a progression laid out here. So first one is the core bag. You may be in here and you'll see people doing Olympic type lifts or cleans or deadlifts, and you might see it and you just say, I'm not ready for that. great piece to get ready, because a lot of people with a deadlift bar, they'll either come here or, just bend over in the back. A good practice is just picking up this bag, and that's it. All it is a deadlift, but with a kind of a cool soft bag that you can drop. You can go a little bit more and actually practice doing a clean technique with that before you even touch the bar, and work on getting some of that better motion. Next up, a lot of people say, I love kettlebells, and I hate when it hits my forearm. So the solution is sort of the soft kettlebell, because I can do that same thing, except it's never gonna, if it does hit my forearm, it's just very soft, I can slam it. And then you get into the kettlebells, actually, the most advanced, kind of like the functional trainer TRX. Best to look at online workouts, because kettlebells have been around for hundreds of years, and there's people that are experts in it much more than me. So it's a great thing to actually just brush up on before you use it, but if you're intimidated by it, start over here and work your progression.